Imagine this. You're racing to the airport, already stressed about making your flight when you get to security, and suddenly an agent stops you. They pull something out of your bag, something you've packed for years, and say, "Sorry, this is banned now." The line behind you starts to grow. People are staring, some are whispering, and you're left wondering, when did everything change? This isn't just a bad dream or a random fluke. It's happening to travelers everywhere right now, thanks to a wave of new TSA rules that most people don't even know about. And the craziest part? The list of banned items keeps getting longer, and some of the newest additions are so ordinary, you won't believe they're actually forbidden. But it's not just about your shampoo bottle or your water flask anymore. In 2025, the TSA and airlines have started cracking down on things you'd never expect, making headlines with bans, viral security stories, and some truly bizarre airport drama. Maybe you heard about the guy who tried to sneak a 4-foot snake through in his carry-on, or the viral videos of travelers being shamed by a flashing screen at the gate just for trying to board early. From unexpected hygiene rules to the end of emotional support, animals flying for free, airports are changing faster than ever, and most passengers are caught completely off guard. So what's really happening behind the scenes? Why are everyday items suddenly causing chaos at security checkpoints, and which harmless object is getting more travelers stopped and embarrassed than anything else this year? By the end of this video, you'll know the hidden rules that could ruin your trip, the secrets TSA agents aren't telling you, and the next big ban that could affect you before your next flight even takes off. Buckle up, because some of these new travel rules are about to catch everyone by surprise. It started quietly enough. Most travelers didn't even realize what had changed until they reached the front of the security line. Suddenly, a common, everyday item, something you'd probably throw into your bag without a second thought, was being flagged by TSA agents all across the country. Social media exploded overnight with stories of people getting stopped, their belongings rummaged through, and their travel plans put on hold because of this new ban. The wildest part: most people still have no idea that this item, something so basic it's almost laughable, is now on the no-fly list. For some, it was the classic travel-size bottle of dry shampoo. For others, it was their trusty portable phone charger, or even a simple pack of wet wipes. It seems like every week the rules shift just enough to catch the next wave of unsuspecting travelers. There's a real sense of paranoia now. Some travelers double-check every zipper and pocket, convinced that the next random thing they pack might land them in TSA limbo. Meanwhile, agents have started sharing the most bizarre stories behind closed doors. A mother who lost her expensive hair straightener, a businessman furious that his snack pack of almonds suddenly caused a scene, a teenager in tears after being told his smart bag needed to go in checked baggage or not travel at all. These aren't isolated stories. If you scroll through recent Reddit threads or TikTok videos, you'll see dozens of travelers with the same question. When did the rules change, and why didn't anyone tell us? Of course, some of the banned items make sense, especially if you're up to date on travel news. Battery-powered devices, anything with suspicious-looking liquids, or smart luggage that doesn't have a removable battery, those have been on the edge of the rules for a while. But the real shock comes from the latest items catching everyone off guard. Basic aerosol sprays, certain over-the-counter medications, and even ordinary packs of chewing gum, depending on which airport you're in. No warning, no official announcement, just a sudden, awkward confrontation at the checkpoint. And what's driving these sudden crackdowns isn't always clear. Sometimes it's a new wave of viral TikTok life hacks that get a little too popular for comfort. Other times, it's a near miss at an airport somewhere in the country that triggers a quiet memo and a whole new list of forbidden goods. What's absolutely certain is that the landscape of what you can and can't bring on a plane is changing so quickly. Even the TSA agents seem caught off guard some days. But that's only the tip of the iceberg, because the next new rule rolling out across major airlines isn't about what's in your bag at all. It's about your behavior at the gate, and it's catching even the most seasoned travelers off guard. While most people are busy worrying about what's in their bags, there's a new kind of rule that's turning the airport experience upside down. It doesn't matter how many times you've flown or how carefully you've read the fine print. If you're not ready for this, you might end up at the center of an embarrassing scene with dozens of eyes glued to you. The airlines call it improving the boarding process. Passengers call it something closer to public shaming. Here's how it works. Picture the usual chaos as boarding is about to begin. People crowd the gate, all jostling to get on first, no matter what group is actually called. It's annoying, but it's part of travel, right? Not anymore. One major airline decided enough was enough. So, if you try to board even a moment before your group is announced, a blaring alarm cuts through the noise. And this isn't a subtle beep either. It's loud enough to make everyone's head turn, and it's paired with a giant digital message that flashes your early boarding attempt to the entire gate area. Suddenly, you're the main character in a show you never auditioned for, shuffling back to the end of the line as everyone watches. It might sound like a joke or a scene, out of some futuristic satire, but it's already being tested in major airports. Social media is full of reactions. Some people think it's hilarious, while others swear they'll never risk getting caught early again. The really wild part is that other airlines are watching closely. If passengers respond to this system, if the chaos actually calms down, you can bet that more airports will start using the same tactics. A few travel insiders have even said it's just the beginning, hinting at more behavior-based tech rolling out soon. The airlines say it's about fairness and order, but behind the scenes, it's just as much about control and about keeping the entire boarding process from devolving into a mad dash. Whatever the reason, the message is clear. If you're tempted to jump the line, you might want to think twice, or risk a viral moment you never asked for. But even that's not the wildest thing happening at the airport gates. Because just as you think you've figured out how to blend in and play by the rules, the next crackdown is waiting for you in the most unexpected place, right at your feet. It might sound strange, but your shoes, or lack of them, are suddenly a major focus for airlines. For years, slipping off your shoes during a long flight was just something people did, whether for comfort, sleep, or pure habit. But that unspoken freedom is disappearing fast, replaced by a set of rules that seem oddly strict, and yet, once you hear the reasoning, it's hard not to wonder how you ever got away with it in the first place. The crackdown started quietly at first, with polite reminders about footwear required signs at the airport gate. But it's gone way beyond that now. Across multiple airlines, the new policy is simple. Take your shoes off at any point before, during, or after your flight, and you risk getting removed from the plane, refused boarding, or even fined. It doesn't matter if you're just stretching your legs or cooling off after a long walk through the terminal. No shoes, no service, no exceptions. Flight attendants are more serious than ever, and the reasons might surprise you. Airplanes are notorious for their questionable cleanliness. Behind the scenes, staff have just minutes to turn a plane around before the next wave of passengers boards. That means crumbs on the carpet, sticky stains, and who knows what, lurking in the bathrooms, even before you count the germs from thousands of shoes that shuffled through before yours. But the real shock comes in an emergency situation. The last thing anyone needs in a rush to evacuate is a passenger stepping on broken glass, loose wiring, or a patch of red-hot tarmac without any protection. There have even been stories of travelers injuring themselves in the chaos, all because they thought going barefoot was harmless. What's more, airlines aren't just issuing warnings, they're enforcing the rules with surprising consistency. Flight crews have started documenting infractions and flagging passengers for removal if they don't comply. Even well-meaning travelers are learning the hard way that comfort isn't worth the risk of being stranded or missing a connection because of a seemingly harmless habit. Scroll through social media and you'll find more than a few posts from people shocked that something as small as bare feet could ruin an entire trip. And if you're thinking about slipping off your shoes as soon as you hit cruising altitude, hoping no one notices, think again. Airline staff are watching, and word is spreading among frequent flyers. Keep those feet covered or risk a run-in with the new breed of in-flight rule enforcers. It's one more unexpected change in an airport world where even the basics aren't safe from the rulebook. But while shoes may be the latest battleground, the next rule change is targeting something even closer to home, your loyal travel companion. And for some, it's a heartbreak that's hard to ignore. If you've traveled in the last few years, you've probably noticed the steady stream of pets making their way through airports. Some perched on their owner's lap, others poking their heads out of a bag, a few even dressed up in tiny sweaters or service vests. For a while, it seemed like just about any animal could earn a spot in the cabin, as long as you called it an emotional support animal. But that loophole, which once let passengers fly with everything from ducks to miniature horses, has snapped shut with a thud. Airlines and the TSA are done playing games. The old system was easy to abuse. People flooded airports with animals that had no real training, all to dodge pet fees or skip the hassle of booking their companion in cargo. Suddenly, planes started to look more like traveling zoos. It was only a matter of time before things got out of hand. A peacock strutted through a terminal, a pot-bellied pig created chaos during boarding, and, most famously, someone tried to Sneak a 4-foot boa constrictor past security, only for the entire checkpoint to come to a standstill. Stories like these went viral, and the pushback was fierce. Now, in 2025, the rules are harsh but clear. Emotional support animals are out, period. The only pets allowed in the main cabin must meet strict service animal criteria, specifically trained, certified, and able to perform essential tasks for their owners. The old days of doctor's notes and unofficial badges are over. If your animal doesn't fit in an approved carrier under the seat in front of you, or if it isn't a certified service dog, you're left with two options. Pay a hefty fee to send your furry friend as cargo or leave them at home. The policy shift hit pet lovers especially hard. Social feeds filled with angry posts and heartbroken travelers forced to change plans, or pay more than they ever expected just to keep their animals safe. Airline agents have been given more power to ask for documentation, question claims, and even turn passengers away at the gate if the paperwork isn't perfect. There's no arguing or negotiating anymore. The crackdown is real, and there's little sympathy for anyone caught trying to skirt the system. And if you're thinking of getting creative, hiding a small pet in a purse, fibbing about your animal's status, think again. Security is onto every trick in the book, and the consequences for trying to sneak something past them are only getting more serious. No one wants to be the next viral pet drama story making the rounds on TikTok, especially with agents and fellow travelers watching every move. But the pressure isn't only on animal lovers. There's a ticking clock now affecting every traveler, and if you haven't checked your wallet lately, you might be in for a nasty surprise before you even get to security. If there's one thing every traveler dreads, it's that gut punch. Moment when you reach for your wallet at the airport only to realize your ID isn't what you thought it was. For years, people got away with flying on an expired license or that old state ID they barely remembered. But now, with the 2025 Real ID deadline looming like a storm cloud, there's no more room for mistakes. It's not a minor policy tweak. This is a line in the sand that's already tripped up thousands of people. The new rule is brutally simple. If you don't have a real ID, you don't fly. No more last-minute leniency, no more exceptions because you didn't know. TSA agents are under strict orders to check for the telltale gold star in the corner of every license and state ID. If it's missing, you're out of luck, whether you're headed across the country for business or just hopping a short flight to see family. Forget arguing, pleading, or hoping someone's in a good mood. No star, no boarding pass. The stories coming out of airports are hard to ignore. Panicked travelers forced to book expensive same-day replacements. Families missing long planned. Vacations because one member didn't update their ID in time. Even airline staff have been left scrambling to explain the rules to confused crowds at the gate. There's no workaround except for carrying your passport, if you have one, and if you remembered to bring it. But really, who wants to drag their passport everywhere for a domestic flight? State DMV offices, already famous for their endless lines and unpredictable wait times, have become even more of a battlefield. Appointments are booked out weeks or months in advance, and walk-ins find themselves turned away at the door. Meanwhile, the clock keeps ticking, and the Real ID deadline is creeping up fast. Online, travelers share warnings and horror stories, desperate to save others from the same fate. Check your ID now, they say. Don't wait until it's too late. But here's the thing. This isn't just bureaucratic red tape. It's a total reset on how Americans prove their identity. The change is meant to make flying safer, but for the average person, it feels like just one more hurdle in a growing list of hoops to jump through. If you're not ready, you might be spending your travel day in the parking lot, watching your plane take off without you. And just when you think the paperwork is the last thing standing between you and a smooth trip, there's another twist, waiting in the wings, one that's finally putting power back into the hands of frustrated passengers. It used to be that when your flight was cancelled, you had two options: spend hours glued to your phone fighting airline customer service, or grit your teeth and accept a voucher you never asked for, all while your plans went up in smoke. Every traveler has a story, some involving days of waiting for a refund, others losing hundreds of dollars on fees and upgrades they'd never get back. For years, airlines had all the power. They knew most passengers would get tired, give up, or settle for less than what they were owed, but not anymore. The rules have shifted, and for once, it's the passengers who have the upper hand. In 2024, the Department of Transportation finally stepped in with a new set of regulations designed to end the endless runaround. Now, if your flight is cancelled or even just seriously delayed, the airline has to refund your money automatically. No more pleading. No more fine print. Refunds for credit card payments must be processed within 7 days, and cash or check within 20. Airlines are also on the hook for any extra fees you paid: seat upgrades, checked bags, priority boarding, you name it. If you didn't get what you paid for, the airline can't just hand you a voucher and hope you'll go away. They have to make it right. Travelers are still getting used to this new reality. Old habits die hard, and plenty of people still assume they have to accept the first offer thrown at them. But savvy passengers are already calling out airlines on social media, sharing screenshots and stories of getting quick refunds and standing up for their rights. It's a small victory, but after years of frustration, it feels almost revolutionary. Still, the airlines aren't exactly cheering for this change. There are new hoops, new procedures, and new ways for them to slip up. If they drag their feet, you've got backup. Official complaints now have real consequences. So the next time your flight disappears from the board or your plans get thrown into chaos, remember, the rules are on your side and you don't have to accept less than what you're owed. And while passengers finally have a win in their corner, the rulebook isn't finished growing, because the next wave of bans is coming, quietly but quickly. And this time, it's targeting some of the most ordinary things people bring with them, every single flight. If you think you've heard it all, just wait, because the next round of bans and restrictions is already taking shape, and it's aimed right at the everyday comforts most travelers take for granted. It doesn't matter if you're flying first class or squeezed into a budget seat. The things you bring on board, the snacks you rely on, and even the drinks you look forward to are all being re-evaluated, one by one. Take single-use plastics. It might not seem like a big deal, but behind the scenes, airlines are under mounting pressure to clean up their act. Environmental activists, new regulations, and even the airline's own marketing campaigns have all zeroed in on those seemingly harmless plastic cups, straws, and stir sticks that pile up by the millions every DC year. One major airline made headlines by ditching plastic drink stirrers, swapping them out for wooden ones, and boasting about the tons of waste saved. But it's not just about feel-good PR. There are whispers that more items are on the chopping block. Plastic bottles, cutlery, wrappers, anything that's single-use and destined for the trash. Already, some airports are piloting programs to limit what you can bring through security if it's wrapped in plastic. And it's only a matter of time before the bans spread from the cabin to the concourse. And then there's the issue of food, specifically nuts. For decades, peanuts were the default airline snack, but rising allergy awareness and some high-profile incidents have changed the game. Now, passengers are pushing for nut-free flights, and a growing number of airlines are experimenting with dedicated nut-free zones or banning peanuts altogether. Some flights will still offer them, but in others, even bringing your own bag of trail mix could get you a stern warning from the crew. For people with allergies, it's a long overdue step. For everyone else, it's another twist in the ever-evolving list of things to check before you pack. And of course, no list of in-flight changes would be complete without mentioning alcohol. For years, a free drink or two was just part of the flying experience, whether to celebrate, calm nerves, or simply pass the time. But as incidents of disruptive passenger behavior spike, and as viral videos of mid-air meltdowns make headlines, airlines are quietly tightening their policies. Some have already introduced 2 drink maximums, while others are testing policies that ban alcohol altogether on certain routes. There are rumors that behind closed doors, airline executives are considering stricter bans and working with airports to cut down on pre-flight drinking too. For now, you can still order a drink, but the days of endless refills and one for the road may be numbered. All of this points to a single, undeniable truth. The airport and airplane experience is changing fast, often without warning, and almost always in ways that catch the average traveler off guard. Today's little convenience could become tomorrow's contraband, and the rumors swirling around what might get banned next, from vaping devices to oversized smart luggage, are only getting louder. So if you're planning a trip, don't get too comfortable with the familiar. The things you count on to make travel bearable could be the next casualties in a rulebook that's rewriting itself faster than ever. And while the latest changes are already catching people by surprise, what's coming next could leave every traveler scrambling. But even with all the new rules making headlines, some of the most dramatic changes aren't getting the attention they deserve. Not yet, at least. Instead, they're simmering just beneath the surface, waiting for the right moment to spill over and catch every traveler off guard. The whispers start in online travel forums, bubble up in private Facebook groups, and then suddenly explode across social media when someone posts, "Did you hear about the new ban at LAX?" Or, can you believe they confiscated this at JFK? In 2025, it's not just what's on the official list, it's the unannounced crackdowns and sudden gateside decisions that are keeping even the most seasoned travelers on edge. One rumor that refuses to die is the looming ban on personal vaping devices. For years, TSA agents have looked the other way as long as your vape pen or e-cigarette was safely packed in your carry-on and batteries were removed. But after a string of high-profile incidents involving overheated batteries and mid-flight smoke alarms, several airlines are quietly tightening enforcement. Some international routes have started confiscating vapes on the spot, and there's mounting speculation that a blanket ban could be just around the corner. The real surprise? The rules aren't consistent. What's perfectly fine in one airport might get you pulled aside in another, and more than one traveler has landed in a new city only to find their device missing and their trip off to a rocky start. It's not just vapes either. Smart luggage, those trendy bags with built-in battery packs, were all the rage a few years ago, with travelers loving the promise of charging their devices on the go. But as stories of battery fires made headlines, airlines quietly started to draw the line. Now, if your bag's battery isn't easily removable, you'll likely be forced to check it, or worse, leave it behind altogether. The same goes for power banks and oversized chargers, which can trigger extra scrutiny at security and, if the agent's having a strict day, get tossed in the not allowed bin with no warning. And then, there are the everyday items that barely cross your mind. Hand sanitizer that's a few ounces over the limit, snacks in suspicious packaging, even certain brands of water bottles that set off chemical detectors. In the race to stay one step ahead, TSA sometimes casts a wide net, and it's regular travelers who pay the price. Maybe it's a forgotten tube of sunscreen, maybe it's a souvenir that looks a little too much like a weapon. Every day brings it be a new story, a new TikTok, a new round of "Can you believe this happened to me?" moments that keep everyone guessing. For those who want to stay ahead, the only real strategy is to keep your ear to the ground. Double-check every guideline before you pack and be ready to adapt. The rules are changing fast, often without warning, and what's fine today could be forbidden tomorrow. In this environment, it's not just about following the law, it's about staying sharp, keeping your cool, and remembering that in today's airports, the most surprising ban is usually the one nobody saw coming. And as airports keep evolving, with new technology, stricter policies, and an endless parade of headlines, travelers everywhere are left with one final question. What's the next ordinary thing to get swept up in this tidal wave of bans and restrictions?